Ladies and gentlemen, I know all of you are strong, independent, beautiful women. You have dreams, goals, and a vision for your future. You know what you want, and you're not afraid to go after it. But there's one thing that many of you don't realize, and it's a mistake you're making in love that's holding you back from the kind of relationship you deserve. In any relationship, one of the most important things to remember is to never lose yourself. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of love, especially when everything feels exciting and you're falling head over heels. But there's a danger in losing sight of who you are and what makes you unique in the process. When you enter a relationship, it's essential to remain grounded in your identity. You are more than just someone's partner. You are a whole person with your own dreams, passions, goals, and values. The moment you begin to lose sight of that is the moment you start giving too much of yourself away. The balance between love for yourself and love for someone else can easily tip if you forget your own worth. You might start to compromise on things that once mattered to you, whether it's your career aspirations, your time with friends, or your hobbies and passions. Before you know it, you've morphed into someone else in order to fit into the mold of what you think the other person wants. It's crucial to keep your own sense of self intact, even when you're in a relationship. If you don't, you'll start to feel disconnected from your own life. You might think you're doing everything right, being loving, supportive, and caring, but deep down, you'll begin to realize you're not the person you used to be. And that realization can lead to resentment and frustration, both with your partner and with yourself. You might wonder why you feel unfulfilled or why the relationship doesn't feel as satisfying anymore. And the truth is that it's because you've been losing bits and pieces of yourself along the way. Maintaining your identity in a relationship doesn't mean putting up walls or being selfish. It means ensuring that while you're loving and giving to your partner, you're also keeping some space for yourself. You need to continue nurturing your own ambitions and passions, just as you support your partner in theirs. If you love painting, don't stop picking up the brush. If you love running, don't put those sneakers in the back of the closet. If you have a dream of starting your own business, don't abandon it for the sake of the relationship. Relationships thrive when both individuals are whole, happy, and fulfilled. You cannot pour into your partner's cup when yours is empty. Another reason not to lose yourself is that your partner should love you for who you truly are, not for a version of yourself that you've created to please them. If you change so much that you're no longer the person you were, when they met you, they may find themselves questioning who they're in love with. Authenticity is the foundation of any successful relationship. If you lose your identity, you risk becoming a shell of who you once were, and that's not fair to either of you. In any healthy partnership, you should feel free to express yourself, pursue your interests, and maintain your individuality. Relationships are not about losing yourself to become someone else. They are about supporting and growing alongside each other, while still respecting each other's personal space, goals, and dreams. The strongest relationships are built on two individuals who are confident and secure in their own identities, not on two people who have given up their essence in order to maintain the relationship. Self-worth is the foundation of everything you do, especially in a relationship. When you are secure in who you are, you can enter a relationship with confidence, knowing that you are deserving of love, respect, and all the happiness that comes with it. The problem is, many women tie their self-worth to their partner's approval, actions, or affection, thinking that their value is dependent on how much love or attention they receive. This is a dangerous mindset because it puts your happiness and self-esteem in someone else's hands. Your value is not determined by someone else's feelings toward you or the way they treat you. It's not defined by how much you give to a relationship, how much you sacrifice, or how much you try to please the other person. You are already worthy of love and respect, exactly as you are, with or without a relationship. When you begin to believe that your worth is contingent on a partner's validation, you're setting yourself up for heartache. There will always be moments in relationships when things are challenging, when your partner might be distant, or when you feel like you're giving more than you're receiving. But your self-worth should never waver because of these moments. Just because someone else isn't acting in a way that affirms your worth doesn't mean you are any less valuable. It simply means that you are in a moment where things aren't aligning and that's a normal part of relationships. However, if you place your self-worth in their hands, those difficult moments can make you feel unworthy or unloved, and that can spiral into negative thoughts about yourself. You have to understand that love doesn't work on a scale where the more you give, the more you receive in return. Love is an equal exchange of care and effort, but that doesn't mean you should feel any less valuable if your partner isn't reflecting that back to you. You are worthy of love without conditions, and once you realize that, you will stop measuring your worth based on the status of your relationship or the actions of the other person. This also means that you should never settle for a relationship where your value is diminished. If your partner doesn't appreciate you for who you are, or worse, makes you feel less than or unimportant, it's time to reassess the relationship. No relationship should make you feel small or invisible. True love thrives in environments where both partners acknowledge each other's worth, and that respect must be mutual. If you don't see your own worth first, you'll find yourself tolerating things you shouldn't, making excuses, and giving more than you're receiving. But the moment you realize your own value and step into it with full confidence, you'll find that you no longer need external validation to feel complete. Your worth doesn't fluctuate with someone else's affection. It's inherent in who you are. When you realize this, you can enter relationships as a complete person, not looking for someone to define your value, but adding to it. You become less afraid of rejection or failure because you understand that it doesn't diminish you. No matter what happens in your relationships, your worth is secure. It's constant. And that security allows you to love in a healthier, more authentic way. Setting boundaries in a relationship is one of the most important things you can do for both your emotional well-being and the health of the relationship itself. Boundaries are not about putting up walls between you and your partner. They are about creating a clear understanding of what you are comfortable with and what you're not. They serve as a form of self-respect, ensuring that both you and your partner can interact in ways that honor each other's needs, feelings, and personal space. The problem many women face in relationships is that they fear setting boundaries because they worry about coming off as demanding, rigid, or difficult. This fear often leads to the gradual erosion of their own needs. Over time, they start tolerating behaviors, actions, or situations they aren't comfortable with, thinking that if they speak up, they'll be seen as unreasonable or that it might harm the relationship. But what happens when you consistently ignore your boundaries? You begin to feel unheard, frustrated, and unappreciated, and the emotional toll can lead to resentment or even a loss of identity. Boundaries help to protect your emotional and mental well-being, and they are a key element of any healthy relationship. They allow you to express your needs, desires, and limitations without fear of judgment or rejection. Setting boundaries shows that you respect yourself and, more importantly, that you expect the same level of respect from your partner. A relationship isn't just about love. It's about mutual respect, and part of that respect is recognizing and honoring each other's limits. When you don't set boundaries, you risk overextending yourself, both emotionally and physically. You might find yourself sacrificing your own needs for the sake of the relationship, doing things you don't want to do, or ignoring what makes you happy just to keep the peace. Over time, this constant self-sacrifice leads to burnout, and when you finally reach the point where you can no longer give, the relationship suffers as well. You begin to feel disconnected, and the more you give without receiving, the more resentment builds up. Boundaries prevent this from happening by ensuring that you have the space to take care of yourself. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to things you don't like. They are also about saying yes to what you need. A boundary might mean making time for yourself to recharge, taking a step back when things get too overwhelming, or being clear about your emotional needs. It could also mean being upfront about your expectations when it comes to how you want to be treated. Healthy boundaries enable you to be clear about what you need from your partner and create space for open communication. But it's important to understand that setting boundaries doesn't mean you're being selfish or trying to control your partner. It's about creating an environment where both people feel safe, loved, and respected. It's about acknowledging that your feelings, needs, and time are just as important as your partner's. When you set boundaries, you make it clear that you're willing to give and take in equal measure, and that you expect the same consideration in return. This not only fosters trust and respect, but also deepens the connection between the two of you. Without boundaries, relationships become one-sided, leading to an imbalance that can lead to resentment and frustration on both sides. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual understanding and respect for each other's space, needs, and desires. One of the most common traps that women fall into in relationships is overgiving. You might think that by constantly being there for your partner, doing everything for them, or sacrificing your own needs, you'll create a stronger bond and earn their love and appreciation. But in reality, overgiving in a relationship can lead to a number of problems, both for you and the relationship itself. The truth is, you cannot pour from an empty cup. When you give too much of yourself without taking the time to nurture your own needs, you eventually run out of emotional, physical, and mental energy. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that love means constant giving, whether that's cooking every meal, managing all of the household chores, or prioritizing your partner's happiness over your own. But this type of self-sacrifice often leads to burnout. Eventually, you may begin to feel drained, resentful, and unappreciated, and those feelings will only grow over time. Overgiving often stems from a deep desire to be loved, needed, and valued. You might believe that the more you give, the more your partner will reciprocate, and that your relationship will thrive as a result. However, love is not about giving everything of yourself in order to make the other person happy. Healthy love is about balance and mutual support. If you find yourself constantly giving, you are likely neglecting your own needs, and in doing so, you are not giving yourself the chance to recharge, heal, or grow. When you overgive, it's easy to lose sight of your own identity, and that's when the problems start to arise. Another issue with overgiving is that it can create an unhealthy dynamic in the relationship. If one person is always giving while the other is always receiving, it sets up a power imbalance. The partner who is receiving might start to take the other person for granted, expecting them to keep sacrificing without any reciprocation. This can lead to feelings of resentment and frustration, which ultimately damage the relationship. On the other hand, if you are constantly overgiving, you might begin to feel like your worth is defined by how much you give, leading to a sense of insecurity when your efforts are not appreciated or returned in the way you expect. In order to prevent overgiving from draining you emotionally, it's crucial to take care of yourself and set healthy limits. It's okay to say no sometimes, to prioritize your own needs, and to ask for what you need in return. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and reciprocity. You deserve to have your needs met just as much as your partner's. If you're always the one giving and never receiving, the relationship becomes one-sided, and that's not sustainable in the long term. To avoid overgiving, focus on maintaining a healthy sense of self. Continue to engage in activities that bring you joy, nourish your passions, and spend time with people who uplift you. Make time for self-care and rest so that you can be the best partner you can be. Understand that your value isn't determined by how much you give to others, but by how well you take care of yourself. It's important to realize that relationships are not about losing yourself in the other person, but about growing together while maintaining your individuality. When both partners are able to give and receive equally, the relationship will thrive in a much healthier and more fulfilling way. Relationships are often seen as a partnership where both individuals should grow together. This idea is important because when two people come together, their individual growth and development should not come to a halt. A healthy relationship thrives when both partners can evolve, chase their dreams, and learn from each other. If you are in a relationship where you feel like you are stifling your own personal growth, you need to take a step back and reassess the situation. Growth is not just about personal achievements or professional success. It's about emotional growth, personal healing, and spiritual development. If you are not growing alongside your partner, then the relationship may not be serving you in the way it should. Growing together in a relationship means that both partners are supportive of each other's goals and dreams. A strong, supportive partner will encourage you to pursue your passions and to keep striving for your personal goals, even when times get tough. They understand that your success is not a threat to the relationship, but an opportunity for both of you to succeed together. When you have a partner who supports your growth, you're both able to expand your horizons, make new discoveries about yourselves, and push each other to become better versions of yourselves. However, there are relationships where one partner may unintentionally hold the other back from growing. This happens when one person prioritizes their own needs and desires to the point where they don't make room for their partner's aspirations. It can feel like they are keeping their partner in a box, limiting their growth potential, or even being unsupportive of new endeavors. This stifling dynamic can create a sense of frustration and dissatisfaction. The partner whose growth is being hindered might feel stuck, undervalued, or unimportant. Over time, this can erode the bond between the two individuals, leading to resentment and an emotional disconnect. But when both individuals in a relationship are actively growing, it strengthens the bond between them. This doesn't mean that both people need to be constantly achieving or advancing at the same pace, but it does mean that both partners are committed to developing themselves and becoming better individuals. Growth in a relationship also means learning together, facing challenges together, and navigating life's ups and downs as a team. The trials you go through can deepen your connection, strengthen your emotional intelligence, and foster mutual respect. When you are both growing, you become stronger as a couple, better equipped to handle whatever life throws your way. The key to growing together is communication and support. It's about being able to talk openly about your goals, your dreams, and your fears, and finding ways to support one another in your individual journeys. Sometimes, growth means making changes in the relationship itself, learning to adapt to each other's evolving needs. This requires understanding and patience, but when both partners are committed to supporting each other's growth, the relationship becomes an environment where both people can thrive. Self-respect is the foundation of every healthy relationship. If you don't respect yourself, it becomes incredibly difficult for others to respect you in return. This idea is often overlooked, but it's essential to understand that self-respect isn't just about standing up for yourself when someone crosses a line. It's about setting standards, valuing your needs, and understanding your own worth, regardless of how others treat you. When you respect yourself, you send a clear message to others about how you expect to be treated. You're not willing to accept mistreatment, disrespect, or behavior that undermines your value. This sets a standard not just for your relationships, but for your life in general. People tend to treat you the way you allow them to treat you. If you don't demand respect, you may find yourself in situations where your boundaries are crossed, your feelings are dismissed, or your needs are neglected. Respecting yourself means knowing when to walk away from something that doesn't serve you. Whether it's a relationship where you're not being valued, a friendship that's draining, or a situation that makes you feel small, self-respect gives you the strength to remove yourself from toxic situations. You don't have to settle for anything less than what you deserve. If you allow disrespect to persist, you're telling yourself that you don't deserve better. But when you stand up for yourself, make your needs known, and walk away from situations that don't align with your values, you reinforce your self-worth and show others how to treat you. One of the key elements of self-respect is understanding that you are deserving of love, kindness, and care without having to compromise who you are. You should never feel the need to diminish yourself, change who you are, or sacrifice your values for the sake of a relationship. Too often, people get caught up in the idea that love means tolerating bad behavior, that they must endure disrespect, or that they need to please their partner at the expense of their own well-being. But self-respect teaches you that love doesn't come at the cost of your integrity. True love exists in relationships where both partners uplift and support each other, not where one person sacrifices themselves for the other. Respecting yourself also means taking care of your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. When you honor yourself, you put your needs first and take time to care for your body and mind. You understand the importance of boundaries, self-care, and maintaining a healthy balance in all areas of life. This isn't about being selfish. It's about recognizing that you cannot give your best to others if you're not giving your best to yourself first. Self-respect allows you to take breaks, seek support when you need it, and be honest with yourself about what's healthy and what's not. The truth is, people can only meet you where you meet yourself. If you don't respect your own needs, desires, and boundaries, it's unlikely that anyone else will. People mirror the energy you put out, so if you show that you don't value yourself or your time, they won't either. But when you carry yourself with dignity and self-respect, others will follow suit, treating you in a way that reflects the value you place on yourself. It's this kind of respect that builds the foundation for a healthy, balanced relationship where both partners honor each other's needs, dreams, and individuality. Too often, women find themselves questioning their worth, especially in relationships, where love and validation can sometimes feel conditional. The truth is, you are enough. You do not need to change who you are, prove your worth, or earn someone's love through sacrifices or compromises that harm your sense of self. You are already deserving of love, respect, and happiness exactly as you are. The need to feel valued and loved is natural, but this need should never come at the cost of your self-worth. When you truly believe that you are enough, you stop seeking validation from others to feel complete. You begin to understand that you don't need to bend over backward or try to fit into someone else's expectations just to be loved. Your worth is inherent. It doesn't depend on how much you give or how much someone else appreciates you. It is a reflection of your uniqueness, your character, your strengths, and your flaws. One of the biggest mistakes that women often make is thinking they need to be perfect or do everything perfectly to be loved. Society often paints an unrealistic image of what it means to be worthy of love, but the truth is nobody is perfect, and that's what makes people relatable, lovable, and human. Embracing your imperfections allows you to be authentic in a relationship. When you embrace your flaws, you open the door for someone else to love you as you are, without the pressure of having to maintain a facade of perfection. It's your vulnerability and authenticity that truly make you lovable, not some version of yourself you think is more acceptable or deserving of love. Believing you are enough means you stop settling for relationships that don't serve you. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that you should be grateful for any love that comes your way, even if it's not healthy or fulfilling. But when you know you are enough, you stop accepting love that is conditional, love that makes you feel small, or love that forces you to sacrifice your happiness for the sake of someone else. You recognize that you're deserving of a relationship where your needs, dreams, and individuality are honored just as much as your partner's. When you know your worth, you stop seeking someone else to complete you. Instead, you enter relationships with the mindset that two whole individuals come together to build something beautiful and meaningful. You don't need someone to define you or validate your existence. You are already whole. The right person will see your value and love you for all that you are. They will appreciate your strengths and support you in your growth. But the key is recognizing that their love should be an addition to your life, not the source of your worth. Your worth isn't determined by how others treat you, how many people love you, or how perfect your relationship is. Your worth is constant, whether you are single, in a relationship, or facing a difficult time in your life. You are enough just as you are, and when you embrace that truth, you create space for the kind of love that is built on mutual respect, appreciation, and authenticity. The moment you believe in your own worth is the moment you stop settling for anything less than you deserve.